Welcome back, friends. We are going to learn about payment process under GST. Now, this payment process is handled by Section 49 of the GST Act, and these are the things that you should know before going for the payment process. Electronic ledgers, there are those three electronic ledgers which we had discussed in the physical class, and then manner of utilization of and cross utilization of ITC. If you have any input tax credit, how do you use it while paying taxes this time? And then interest on delayed payments, who is going to pay at what rate to whom, right? So this is the interest on delayed payments. And then electronic payment forms, there are GST PMT forms. Okay, what are these? We will see in this video itself. And then unique identification number for each transaction. I have not made any separate slide for the last point, that is unique identification number for each transaction. What do you mean by this? I will tell you in simple words. Whatever transaction you undertake with the government, for all such transactions, government will give you one unique identification number. This number you have to preserve with you. You have to keep that identification number with you. In future, if any discrepancies take place, then this identification will help you to communicate with the government. Okay, that identification number for every transaction. You file any GST return, you file GST R1, GST R2, 3B, or even GST R9. For all such purposes, you will get different identification numbers. You have to use it accordingly, right? And then we will start with the electronic credit ledgers. There are these three credit ledgers. Okay, electronic cash ledger. Electronic ledgers only. There are these three electronic ledgers: electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger, and electronic liability ledger. What do you mean by this? Electronic cash ledger, where all amounts paid by the taxpayer are reflected here, and the form is GST PMT 05. Remember these forms. Electronic cash ledger is such a ledger where all the payment that is made by the person, that by the taxpayer, will be reflected in the electronic cash ledger, right? And then electronic credit ledger, also known as electronic input tax credit ledger. Whatever input tax credit you have will be reflected in this ledger only. If you are trying to pay the taxes, I will tell you an example. See, 50 rupees credit you have, and you have to pay 70 rupee taxes. So 50 rupee credit from the credit ledger you are taking, and you are paying 20 rupee taxes through electronic cash ledger, and this 70 rupee will be shown in the electronic liability ledger, also known as electronic tax liability ledger. It means it is the gross tax liability to be paid by that person, by that taxpayer, right? And it is reflected in the form GST PMT 01, electronic credit ledger form GST PMT 02. Okay, if you go to the website, official website of GST, in the services tab you have ledgers sub tab, and there you will get these many fields. Electronic cash ledger, there you will see below that tax liability ledger, then electronic credit ledger, and then you have utilization of ITC or cash, right? All these three ledgers are reflected here. You just have to click on it, right? And then go according to it. Is very simple, right? This electronic payment, and then electronic cash ledger. We will understand this in detail. What do you mean by this? GST PMT 06 is the form which is, the taxpayers are paying through this GST PMT 06. Where they are paying to electronic cash ledger, and they can pay the cash through these modes. Internet banking is there, credit or debit card of authorized banks only, and then by NEFT or RTGS or even over the counter payment is also available in the GST. But if you are paying taxes on over the counter for deposits up to 10,000 rupees only, you can pay. For more than 10,000 rupees, you have to do either internet banking, credit or debit card. If the amount is really high, then you have to go for the RTGS point, right? In short, what is this electronic cash ledger? If you want to pay taxes to the government, then you are paying through electronic cash ledger, right? Now, electronic liability ledger. See, payment of tax, interest, late fee or any other amount payable per the return furnished by the taxpayer or any proceedings. I will go to the second point and then I will explain what it is. the tax and the interest payable arising out of any mismatch of ITC or output tax liability, and then any interest that may accrue from time to time, the reversal of ITC or interest, all types of liabilities. I repeat, all types of liabilities that you have to pay as a matter of GST to the government, that will reflect in the electronic liability ledger. Understood? You have to pay, let us suppose you have to pay 5,000 rupees taxes to the government. Now this 5,000 rupee liability will be shown in the electronic in the electronic liability ledger. Hope you are understanding. Now if you have already some credit in your portal, then you are using your electronic credit ledger. If something more is about to be paid by you, then you are using electronic cash ledger. Taxpayers should settle their liabilities in the following order. These are the order that is given: self-assessed tax and other dues such as interest, penalty, fees, any other amount relating to the previous tax period, you have to pay it first, and then self-assessed tax and other dues relating to current tax period you have to do. There is a process, okay? First you have to pay for the previous tax period returns if you have not paid earlier. Now if you have paid all taxes earlier, then you have to pay current tax period amount, and then any other amount payable if under the rule or the act arising out of the demand notice or proceedings, then you have to pay after filing returns of the current tax period. This is the procedure, okay? Electronic liability ledger. And now electronic credit ledger. Electronic credit ledger is all about your ITC, input tax credit. You have input tax credit of CGST, you have input tax credit of SGST, you have input tax credit of IGST or UTGST, whatever it is, right? All will be reflected in your electronic credit ledger. You have to utilize this first and then pay taxes out of your pocket, where you are paying out of your pocket through electronic cash ledger. It is simple, like if you have ordered anything from the Amazon or Flipkart or any other e-commerce website, if you have paid through electronic mode, the same way you have to pay in the GST also. Where it is possible in the electronic cash ledger, right? The day immediately preceding the date on which the taxpayer becomes liable to pay tax, provided he applies for registration within the 30 days of becoming liable. So to utilize the input tax credit, all the conditions you have to satisfy, right? You should be eligible to get the ITC under section 16. We have learned this about input tax credit under section 16, right? There is a video, please watch that video. The link is again given in the description box, right? There you have to first fulfill your input tax credit eligibility, that is your registration must be within the 13 days of becoming liable, and then you can use the liability register or let us say electronic credit ledger, right? Now how you are making payments? There is a rule for all the regular type of taxes. You can use the ITC. First you have to utilize the ITC and then pay the remaining amount. If it is interest and penalty, then ITC cannot be used. I repeat, if you are paying interest or penalties, ITC cannot be used. You have to pay from your pocket through electronic cash ledger, right? Then manner of utilization of ITC. IGST can be utilized for IGST, CGST or SGST, and CGST can be used for CGST or IGST, SGST can be used for SGST and IGST. But there is a amendment in this rule. This was the rule when the GST Act was made, right? And that rule is you can cross-utilize these credits. How to do that? Please watch the video, manner of utilization of ITC. The GST payment. GST is paid by supplier of goods or services or both who is registered under the GST Act. Who has to pay the GST? The registered person has to pay the GST. But under RCM, that is reverse charge mechanism, the registered receiver will pay the GST on behalf of the supplier, and then the respective GSTRs shall be used. Okay, we have to see what the GSTR is applicable where. Okay, now this is the chart where you will understand what is applicable where. GSTR 1, please understand the tables first, okay? Then look at the title of the table, that is the return form, which is we are speaking about which return form, and then the description for what it is used, and then frequency when you are paying that, when you are filing those returns, and then the due date, okay? These are the description. Now let us start with the GSTR1. GSTR1 is for outward supplies. Whatever you make outward supply, you have to utilize GSTR1, okay? You have to utilize, you have to file that every month, okay? Quarterly, if you opt for quarterly payment, then yes, you have to use it quarterly, otherwise monthly you have to pay. Normally in 99% of cases, monthly you have to file this GSTR1, okay? Now 11th of the next month with effect from the October 2018 until the September 2020, and up to this month, this is September 2020, 11th of the next month will be your filing date, right? Then GSTR2 and GSTR3 are suspended from 2017 only. You need not worry about this, but still you understand GSTR2 is for inward supplies and GSTR3 is for monthly returns. Instead of GSTR3, we are filing GSTR3B. Look at this GSTR3B. Simple return, and which is the summary of outward supplies and inward supplies. I repeat, GSTR3B is the summary of outward supplies along with the input tax credit or input taxes paid, right, which is to be shown monthly, and the time is 20th of next month. What do you mean by this? See, from 1st September to 30th of September, whatever I make the transaction, I can file these. The summary of these transactions will be filed on 20th of next month, that is October, right? This is the due date for GSTR3B, and there are two categories, category X and category Y. It is according to the opted format, and it is according to the threshold limit. You need not worry about this. You just understand GSTR3B is the summary of outward and inward for monthly returns, and the time period is 20th of next month. And then GSTR4 is for composition scheme dealer. Composition scheme dealer will go for GSTR4, which should be filed annually. Earlier quarterly they had to file, now they are filing annually. 30th of the next month of the succeeding financial year will be the last date. And then GSTR5 for non-resident foreign taxable person, non-resident NRTP. You have learnt about this NRTP. Section 27 will be we had seen it is for the registration of NRTP, and here it is GSTR5 for filing returns, which is monthly, and 20th of next month will be the date of return filing. And then GSTR6 is for input service distributor. You have to remember all these things. Input service distributor will file monthly 13th of the next month, right? GSTR6. GSTR7 is for TDS, tax deducted at source, which should be filed monthly, and the time is 10th of the next month. And then GSTR8 is for e-commerce operators. For e-commerce operators, it is GSTR8, which should be filed monthly, and 10th of the next month will be the last date to file the returns. And then GSTR9 is annual return. For a normal taxpayer, which should be filed annually, and 31st December will be the last. Let me tell you friends, for GST, the financial year we do not follow. For GST purpose, we are following January to December as the year, for tax period, right? GSTR 9A, what is this? Annual return to be filed by taxpayer who is registered under composition levy anytime during the year. See, if a person is opting for composition scheme anytime during the year, then for that person annual return is GSTR 9A. He has to file it annually, and 31st December of that year, that financial year will be the last date. GSTR 9C is for certified reconciliation statement, if there are any discrepancies, then you have to reconcile the statement. I mean to say, you have to reconstruct the statement again wherever the mistakes are there, and you have to get it certified through chartered accountant or the registered GST practitioner, and then which should be filed annually, and 31st December will be the last date. GSTR 10 is for final return to be verified by the taxpayer whose GST registration is cancelled. If your registration is cancelled, then you have to file GSTR 10. It has to be filed only once, because next year you are not going to file it again, because you are cancelling your registration. Within the 3 months of the date of cancellation, you have to do that. And then GSTR 11 is for the details of inward supplies to be furnished by a person having UIN, unique identification number, and who is claiming for refund. Right, we have spoken about unique identification number, and you have to whenever there are discrepancies, you are using that unique identification number. If you have that and you are trying to claim a refund, then you have to file this GSTR 11 monthly. 28th of the next month will be the date, right, for the filing returns, right? And one more, that is CMP 08, that is for composition dealer. It is the statement cum challan to make the tax payment by a taxpayer registered under the composition scheme, under section 10 of CGST Act, which must be filed quarterly. 18th of the next month will be the filing date. But according to that notification, right, from 7th March 2020 onwards, quarterly you need not file, you have to file only annual returns, right? These are the GSTR forms. I repeat, GSTR 1, I repeat GSTR because this is very important, I repeat, this is very important. Again, GSTR 1 is for outward supplies. GSTR 2 and 3, which is scrambled, which is scrapped. GSTR 2 was for inward supplies. GSTR 3 was for monthly supplies. GSTR 3B right now is very essential form for GST. It should be filed every month, and the last date is 20th of next month, right? GSTR 4 is for composition dealer. GSTR 5 is for non-resident taxable person. GSTR 6 is for input tax credit. GSTR 7 is for TDS. GSTR 8 is for e-commerce operator. GSTR 9 is for annual return for a normal taxpayer. GSTR 9A is for a person who has opted for composition scheme during that particular year. GSTR 9C is certified reconciliation statement. GSTR 10 is for the person who has whose registration is cancelled, and GSTR 11 is for the person who has UIN and who is trying to claim refund, okay? And then CMP 08 is composition dealers challan. Then late filing of GST returns. If you are filing late, then what will happen? Friends, look at the last point. Late filing fee of GSTR 1 is populated in the liability register of GSTR 3 be filed immediately after such delay. It is auto-populated. It is auto-populated how many times you make the how much time do you take to pay it lately. Let us say 20th of next month is the last date. If you are filing it on 21st, then 100 rupee per act is the fine for late fee. Then what do you mean by this? If you are paying CGST plus SGST, then for CGST 100 rupee late fee, and for SGST late fee, in total you are paying 200 rupees late fee for intrastate transactions. For interstate IGST, there is only 100 rupee late fee for per day transaction, okay? That is late filing of returns. And then interest. If you are not paying your taxes within time, then 18% per annum interest also you have to pay. Understanding? In the refund chapter we will see, if government is giving you late amount, then government is entitled to give you interest at 6%, but you are giving to the government how much? At 18% per annum, right? Here it is given 100 rupee per day per act, so it is 100 rupee under the CGST and 100 rupee under SGST. Total will be 200 per day, right? This is the late fee, and interest is also applicable on that. And then the GST payment calculation. How do you calculate it? First you have to determine the total output GST, and then you have to determine the eligible ITC, and then set off the output and input taxes, and you will get GST liability that you have to pay through your electronic cash ledger, right? The balance GST liability that a business needs to pay will be paid through electronic cash ledger. And this is the chart: amount of tax payable, interest and late fee, amount of tax payable along with the interest on account of mismatch of credit based on provisions of section 29 or section 29A or section 43C. See, all you can pause this video, you can copy down this and then understand that it is the total of all these things. Okay, balance in electronic liability ledger will be this, right? A plus B plus C plus D minus EFG. Minus EFG, it is because TDS, TCS and tax payable under reverse charge are actually like your advance tax payment. TDS and TCS are like your advance tax payment that will be reduced accordingly, and therefore these three will be reduced from all those, right? One more, amount payable by the department against the interest or refund, penalty, late fee. See, if you are paying someone else 100 rupee and that person has to pay you 30 rupees, now why don't you set it off here itself? If you pay 70 rupees to that person, over the transaction gets cancelled, he need not pay you 30 rupees back. Understanding that transaction is here, this is H. So total will be A plus B plus C plus D minus E minus F minus G minus H. That will be your total tax liability. I am not saying payable, that is total tax liability, and this total tax liability will be reduced from electronic credit ledger, and then you have to pay through electronic cash ledger, right? And then GST payment forms. GST PM201 is for electronic tax liability ledger, right? What is the purpose? Where any tax, interest or penalty, late fee or any other amount to be debited to this ledger. What do you mean by this? GST PMT01 electronic tax liability register. It means whatever you are paying to the government will be shown in this PMT form, will be shown in this GST PMT form. GST PM202 is electronic credit ledger. Every claim of ITC will be done in the GST PMT 02. What do you mean by this PMT 03? It is refund to be recredited. It means refund from the government to the taxpayer. If government is giving back to the taxpayer, then PMT 03 form will be used. PMT 04 is for any discrepancy in electronic credit ledger. If there are any discrepancies in electronic credit ledger, if auto population is not clearly done, if there was any technical problem, then GST PMT 04 along with the documents must be filed. And GST PMT 05 is for electronic cash ledger. PMT 06 is for challan for deposit of tax. We have seen what is this GST PMT 06 earlier also, which generates and paying a challan, paying through challan is done electronic cash ledger PMT 06. Now PMT 07 is application for intimating discrepancy relating to payment. What do you mean by this? The application is meant for the taxpayer where the amount is intended to be paid to be debited from his account, but CIN has not been conveyed by the bank to the common portal, or CIN has been generated. What is this CIN? Challan identification number. For every challan that is to be filed to the government, that is in this GST we are preparing this challan online only, right? However, you can take the printout also, but challans are populated online. Now that challan will be having this CIN, that is challan identification number, and that speaks about the payment. GST PMT 07, that is application for intimacy or discrepancy relating to the payment. Whatever discrepancy you have, GST PMT 07, you just use this word, right? So that's all about your payment process. Hope this is understood. If you have any clarifications or doubt, please give it in the comment box. See you in your next video where we are going to discuss about the refunds. Okay, thank you.